Hey, it's Jeff Zito, and thanks for checking out yet another episode of the Celebrity Jobber Podcast. Currently number 2 on the Apple Podcast Music Interviews chart. You can check out all past episodes and guests on CelebrityJobber.com. Please subscribe. Would love a 5-star rating and leave a review. Streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Today's guest is a pop culture icon. She is known as the Queen of Disco. In 2022, she appeared on The Masked Singer as the Mermaid. She won her second Grammy Award in her career back in 2020, 40 years after she won her first Grammy. In 2016, her song I Will Survive was selected for induction into the Library of Congress's National Recording Registry. Born and raised in Newark, New Jersey, what did she used to do before she became the Queen of Disco? What was her first job? What kind of career did she think she was going to go into? And what was her big break? Gloria Gaynor, the Queen of Disco, will answer all of those questions as she is my guest this week on Celebrity Jobber.
The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito. If you like what you hear, please subscribe. What if these celebrities weren't famous? What would they have become? What was their first job? We're about to find out.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. So great to talk to you.
Great, my pleasure.
From Newark, New Jersey. I grew up in Watchung. I was born in Summit, and grew up outside of Plainfield. Are you still in Jersey, or are you out of there?
I just moved from the area where you grew up.
Oh, really? You were living in the Watchung area?
I was in Greenbrook.
Okay, Greenbrook. Excellent. Is that White Castle still over there on Route 22?
Yes, it's still there.
Well, listen, I'm so excited to talk to you because what a great life. You have a story coming out on Lifetime about your life. Growing up in Newark, I understand, you were from humble beginnings, but it was a happy family?
Yes, it was.
Mother and father, can you tell me what your mom and dad did, Gloria, for work?
No, I grew up, my mother was a seamstress, and I grew up in a single-parent home. And so my mother was my opinion still is that she was the most wonderful mother in the world. I mean, she was like the neighborhood mother. We were poor, but we always had company for dinner. My brothers were always bringing people home to eat with us, and my mother was a wonderful cook, and so they were pleased to come and eat with us. Some came like several nights a week. But it was a happy home, and I often say that it was a happy home because we were loved. And children don't know they're poor as long as they're loved.
That's true, and that's so good to hear because, it was a tough time growing up for you in those times. There was a lot of violence, there was a lot of negative things, and to have that happy family, have that happy home, that's definitely important. So tell me, Gloria, you always wanted to sing, but I understand that your family, they didn't really know that, did they?
No, Malala grew up with 5 brothers who all sang, and, I was a sister, so who cares? The fact that I could sing, I certainly wasn't going to be singing with them. And so when they found out that I could sing and started my career, they were very pleased and very proud of me. They never knew, they didn't realize that I could sing.
So did anyone, while you were growing up, Gloria, did she try to push you in another direction? Was she trying to maybe get you off to college to become a professional?
Mm-hmm.
She did? Okay.
When I told her that I wanted to sing, she said, "That's nice, honey, but you need to get yourself an education and get some work under your belt, because in case you don't make it in show business like your father didn't, no one is going to want to hear 10 years later that you never had a job."
So what was she thinking? What were you thinking about? Were you thinking about making her happy and saying like, okay, maybe I'll do this or get a job and maybe sing at night? So were you moving in another direction at some point?
Well, I started out, because I said that to her right out of high school, and we couldn't afford college. So I decided I would go to a beauty culture school and to business college, because I would learn there things that the time would not be wasted if I did make it in show business. and I could use all of those things. So when I started singing, I would take down my songs in shorthand and type them up. And of course, I'm able to follow behind my accountant, and because I went to, like I said, to business college. And so I've used all of the things and continue to use all of the things that I learned before I went into show business.
Did you, at any point in time, were you working in the beauty industry while, maybe moonlighting as a singer?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I had 3 jobs. I went from a department store where I was a sales auditor from 9 to 5. I went from there to the beauty shop and worked in the beauty shop from 6 to 10, and then I went to sing in a club.
Wow. So, wow. I mean, what was your first job, Gloria? Do you remember your very first job ever? First paycheck?
My very first was in that department store that it was called Bamberger's. It was used, it eventually got merged with Macy's.
I remember Bamberger's. Sure, I remember Bamberger's. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I worked there.
So tell me, between working at Bamberger's and and beauty school and singing at night, there had to be a moment where things changed for you overnight, because we know you as the queen of disco. I mean, this is a genre that you basically invented, created, and it was the hottest thing going in the 70s. So tell me the point where everything changed. What was that moment? Tell me about it.
Well, everything changed when I recorded I Will Survive. I mean, you mean how it changed from me working to becoming an entertainer?
No, I mean how your life changed when when maybe if it was I Will Survive, like your life had to change dramatically from being working and singing at night to becoming Gloria Gaynor, the queen of disco.
Well, that is actually a wonderful story. I try to keep it short. So I was working at Bamberger's, became friends with a young lady. She had a baby. That was my goddaughter. She having trouble with her babysitter one night. I happened to be on my first day of vacation. She asked me if I could cover for the babysitter till she got a new one. When I went there, I began to sing. I heard somebody walking in the apartment upstairs, and I began to sing and follow those footsteps because I just wanted someone to hear me sing. And long story short, I went to a club one night shortly thereafter, and it turned out that the person who was hearing my footsteps above was the owner of that club, recognized me when I came in, told the band about me. I sang a song. They called me up to sing. I sang a song with the band. They hired me. I started working with them the following night, went to my job, told them, I'm sorry, I'm going off to be a star. And that was the beginning of the new era.
And they probably looked at you and they were like, okay, miss, whatever. And boy, oh boy, were you right. I'm going off to be a star. And it happened.
The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito. Celebrity Jobber.
Tell me about this biopic on Lifetime. Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive. It basically, brings you, is it just the full life story? Is it focused more on your career, your fame? Is there any kind of pitfalls or some downs that we should know about?
Well, it definitely focuses on the pitfalls of show business, of being married to your manager, and all of that craziness. And then it shows me, waking up. I often say, I think God said, I'm going to have to drop a house on my baby girl because she's stupid.
Any regrets, Gloria, for anything that you've done through your career? Any regrets looking back?
Not real regrets, just that I as I keep saying, if you're going on a trip from New York to Florida, you don't need to go by way of California, and that's what I did. So that's kind of the only regret that my life was convoluted with all of these bad choices, simple bad choices.
You had a little bit of a resurgence in your career in the 90s. Disco kind of came back, gave you kind of like a second life, right? Yeah.
Well, the thing is that when disco started to wane here and the popularity began to wane here in the United States, I just took my music to 90 other countries. So I was doing great throughout that time,
The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito.
Bettering your business takes working with the best. With the James Hardie Alliance, you gain access to leads, training, networking, and support from the #1 brand of siding in North America. Achieve new levels of success by joining the James Hardie Alliance today.
The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito.
Are you still performing today, Gloria?
Oh yeah. I did a show 2 nights ago in Texas.
Pretty heavy schedule?
No, it's kind of lightened up quite a bit, because I don't need to work that much. And, so I'm kind of just really enjoying more without the toil of my career. I enjoy every time I step out onto the stage. It is magical. And I still love it. It's wonderful.
It debuts on February 8th. Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive, and it'll be on Lifetime. And I was really excited to have the opportunity to chat with you, Gloria. And thanks so much for your time, and good luck with everything.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
The queen of disco, such a huge part of music in the 1970s, Gloria Gaynor, from my old stomping grounds in New Jersey, in Greenbrook, which was close to where I grew up. And that's why I asked her about the White Castles there on Route 22. 2 things I miss from New Jersey are those damn White Castle burgers and Italian hot dogs from Jimmy Buff's. And I know it's not the same getting the White Castles from the grocery store. Definitely not the same. So Gloria grew up in a happy home, humble beginnings, single mother, 5 brothers. All of them sang. Nobody even knew Gloria could sing. But when she finally told her mother about her dream of being a professional singer, her mother didn't really encourage her to go into that route. She thought it would be smart for Gloria to get some kind of trade, get a real job, and start her career in the workforce. She said her very first job was working at Bamberger's, where she continued to work for quite some time. Bamberger's ultimately became Macy's in the late 80s in New Jersey. But until she became a professional singer, she worked 3 jobs. The one at Bamberger's, then she went to beauty school and worked at a beauty shop, and then a singer at clubs at night. And she basically told the whole story about her big break, which was the song I Will Survive. And her telling all those people at her job, I quit, I'm going off to be a star. I love stories like that. Any regrets? Gloria said, nah, not really. Some pitfalls. She talked about being married to her manager. And she also talked about maybe some bad choices along the way where she took the long way. There's no playbook on how to be a star. And when it happens, you kind of got to just go with the flow. So she just kind of figured it out. If she could do it all over again, she said she wouldn't have taken the long way so much. You hit it big, though, when they come out with a movie on you. Premiered last week on Lifetime. It's called Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive. Pretty fitting title, I'd say. The Queen of Disco. Hey, if that didn't happen to her, maybe she'd be doing hair somewhere in New Jersey. And thank you so much for checking out another episode of the Celebrity Jobber Podcast, number 2 on the Apple Podcast Music Interviews chart. You can check out past guests online at celebrityjobber.com. Follow on Instagram, celebrity_jobber_podcast, and also youtube.com/the@celebrityjobber. If it wasn't for that big break, if it wasn't for Gloria recording the song I Will Survive, we might not know who she is. That song, so important to pop culture, defined disco. And for 80 years old, she really has it together, doesn't she? On that note, thanks again for listening to another episode of the Celebrity Jobber Podcast. Until next week, I'll see you then. I'm Jeff Zito.